Dear students, today I'll discuss on humoral immunity. We know that our immune system protects us from the external environment. It fights with all the foreign pathogens that enter into our system. It can distinguish between self and non-self, and once our immune system recognizes a non-self molecule, it tries to eliminate it. Now, immune response can be innate or adaptive. Innate immune response is non-specific immune response, and it is the first line of defense against any foreign molecule. Whereas adaptive immune response is acquired throughout our life and it has memory. And if we look from the point of view of components, then we can divide the immune response into two groups, cell-mediated and humoral. Cell-mediated immune response is mediated by different cells like T cytotoxic cell, natural killer cell, macrophages, neutrophils, etc. Whereas humoral immune response is mediated by soluble molecules. Mainly soluble protein molecules are involved in the humoral immune response, like immunoglobulins or antibodies, complement factor proteins or complement proteins. Also, several peptides having antimicrobial activities are also involved in the humoral immune response. Since humor means soluble, all the soluble proteins which take part in the immune response are part of the humoral immunity. Now, humoral immunity was discovered by Hans Buchner. He first noticed that some protective substances are present in serum which have microorganism killing property, and he called them alexins. Later, Paul Ehrlich, he found that alexins are nothing but complement factor proteins. And Emil von Behring and Kitasato Shibasaburo, they noticed that diphtheria and tetanus diseases are not caused by the organisms themselves. The cell-free filtrates are able to cause the disease. So when these cell-free filtrates, now we know that toxins secreted from these organisms actually create the disease. When these cell-free filtrates were used to immunize animal and immunized serum collected, they neutralize those toxins. Okay, and in 1939, Arne Tiselius and Elvin Covert, they proposed the presence of immunoglobulins in serum, and later the structure of the immunoglobulins was detected. Now, B lymphocytes is a major cell of immune system. B lymphocytes, they are generated in the bone marrow through hematopoiesis, and then they come to the blood. In blood, they move, and when a B cell encounters an antigen through the receptor present on its surface, that B cell gets activated. This is called clonal selection. That activated B cell then continues cell division for several days and produce many B cells with same kind of B cell receptor on their surfaces. And this is called clonal expansion. And some of the B cells, they differentiate into plasma cells and some differentiate into effector cells. Effector cells show immediate effect. What is the immediate effect? The B cell receptors which are present on the surface, they are released into the blood, and the released receptors are now called immunoglobulins, secretory immunoglobulins, and these immunoglobulins act against the antigen. And memory cells, they keep the memory of that same antigen. So, B cells are activated and some B cells are converted to plasma cells, some B cells are converted to memory cells. Now, activation of B lymphocytes takes place in the lymph nodes, also in spleen, that means in lymphoid organs. Now, activation of B lymphocytes can be thymus dependent or thymus independent. Thymus dependent B cell activation leads to specific activation of B cells. Now, since specific B cells are activated in thymus dependent B cell activation, antibodies which are released from a specific B cell, they are of same kind and monoclonal antibody preparation is produced. Whereas in case of thymus independent B cell activation, non-specifically many B cells are activated at the same time. So the B cell receptors released from all the cells, they might not be similar in their nature. So we get a polyclonal antibody mixture here. And also in case of thymus dependent B cell activation, some memory B cells are generated, whereas in case of thymus independent B cell activation, no memory B cells are generated. Now if we look into the receptor present on a B cell surface, the B cell receptor or the membrane bound immunoglobulin looks like this. The membrane bound immunoglobulin has a very short cytoplasmic tail, which is not enough to transduce a signal, so it needs help from a pair of heterodimer, Ig alpha and Ig beta. These two polypeptides have a long cytoplasmic tail, and once a BCR or B cell receptor binds to an antigen, the signal is transduced by the long cytoplasmic tail of the Ig alpha, Ig beta. The BCR together with Ig alpha, Ig beta is called the B cell receptor. Now once a B cell encounters an antigen and gets activated to an effector cell, it will secrete the membrane bound immunoglobulin. Now the immunoglobulins which are present in the blood or serum are called secretory immunoglobulins. Now each immunoglobulin is composed of 2 heavy chains and 2 light chains. Each heavy chain has a molecular weight of 50 kilodalton and each light chain has a molecular weight of 25 kilodalton. And all the 4 polypeptides are joined together by interchain disulfide linkages. There are some intrachain disulfide linkages are also present in the immunoglobulin molecule. Now this is the N-terminal end and this is the carboxy terminal end. From the amino terminal end, about 100 to 110 amino acid residue part, it shows maximum variation, sequence variation among different immunoglobulin molecules. Thus, that region is called variable region. And if we look into the detailed map of the variable region, then we will see that 3 regions present in the variable region are hypervariable in their nature. And these 3 hypervariable regions are responsible for binding to an antigen. Okay, so this region is called fragment responsible for antigen binding or Fab fragment. Whereas this part, carboxy terminal domain, shows that there are 5 different sequences present in our serum, and each type, for each sequence, the immunoglobulin is called a particular isotype. Like if the carboxy terminal domain of the long chain or heavy chain is composed of gamma, then the isotype is called IgG. If the carboxy terminal domain of an immunoglobulin has mu sequence, then that immunoglobulin is called IgM isotype. If the sequence is of delta, then it is called IgD. When the carboxy terminal domain of heavy chain has a sequence alpha, then the isotype is called IgA, and the sequence is epsilon, the isotype is called IgE. So there are 5 different isotypes present in our blood, and the carboxy terminal domain is responsible for mediating the biological activity. And since the sequences of the carboxy terminal domains vary, okay, the effector functions of an immunoglobulin is also vary. On the B cell surface, there are 2 types of immunoglobulins found, IgM and IgD, and there are 4 secretory immunoglobulins present in our serum, IgM, IgA, IgG and IgE. Now what are the effector functions mediated by immunoglobulins? Some immunoglobulins, mainly IgA isotype and IgM isotype, they are found in different secretions like saliva, in tears, breast milk, also mucus. That means secretory immunoglobulins are present in all the portals of entry. All the portals of entry for foreign pathogens are guarded by these secretory immunoglobulins. So as soon as a foreign molecule enters, they are covered by the immunoglobulins, and then they are eliminated from our system. Actually, immunoglobulins prevent their adherence to the cells. Okay. Also, sometimes organism covered with antibody is readily phagocytosed by the phagocytic cells, because on the phagocytic cell membrane there are receptors for the Fc region of an antibody. Mainly macrophages and NK cells have those receptors. The antibody, presence of antibody on the foreign surface also activates a system called complement system. Complement system is composed of soluble proteins, and ultimately they lead to the formation of pore on the bacterial surface and lyse the organism. Thus, immunoglobulins have many different effector functions, and some immunoglobulins can cross the placenta, like IgG. It crosses the placenta and protects the fetus from foreign pathogens. Also, IgA is found in breast milk, which protects or provides immunity to the newborn in the first month of life. Now, I'll tell you about the primary and secondary humoral response. Now, what is a primary humoral response? The first exposure of an exogenous antigen to an individual B cell activates the B cell, and that B cell is converted to plasma cells and memory B cells. Plasma cells secrete immunoglobulins. Now, if we look into this curve, on the x-axis time is plotted, and on the y-axis antibody concentration in serum is plotted. We will see for the first exposure to an antigen, there is a lag phase. During this time, clonally selected B cells, they proliferate and they differentiate into plasma cell and memory cell. The lag phase is followed by an exponential growth phase, then it plateaus and then declines. Okay. Now, the exponential growth phase means more and more B cell, effector B cells and plasma cells are produced, and they are secreting immunoglobulin molecules. Now, I will explain with an example. Suppose if we immunize mice with a particulate molecule like sheep red blood cell, then it shows a lag phase of 3 to 4 days. Then peak plasma cell levels are attained at around 4 to 5 days, and peak antibody concentration levels are attained around 7 to 10 days. Whereas if we immunize the same mice with a soluble antigen, then the lag phase is almost more than 7 days are required to start the growth of the B cells, and then peak plasma cells levels are attained around 7 to 10 days, and peak antibody concentrations are attained around 14 days. That means soluble antigens induce immune response lately. In case of primary humoral response, the major isotype is IgM, and a small part switches over to the isotype IgG. Now, what happens in case of a secondary response? Secondary response is characterized by the activation of the memory cells generated during the primary response by the same antigen. Now, here lag phase is very short and then steep rise in the antibody concentration. The lag phase is shorter because now only the memory B cells are getting activated compared to the naive B cell activation in case of primary response. And since memory cells are activated very quickly, the amount of antibody in serum is very high in case of secondary response. And the major isotype produced in case of secondary response is IgG isotype. So, class switching takes place at a higher magnitude in secondary response. Also, the antibodies generated in a secondary response have a higher affinity towards the same antigen, because during the primary response the B cell receptors undergo a phenomenon called somatic hypermutation, where mutation takes place at the variable region at a very high rate. So, the memory cells generated, they have undergone this hypermutation, somatic hypermutation and affinity maturation, where only those B cells have been selected which has higher affinity towards the same antigen. Thus, the antibodies generated in case of secondary immune response, secondary humoral response, they have higher affinity for the same antigen. Now I will tell you about another very important component of humoral immune system. That component is called complement system. Now, antibody binding between an antigen and an antibody does not mean killing of the antigen. If the antigen is a foreign organism, then binding of antibody to that foreign organism does not mean that the organism will be killed. Some other proteins help the antibody to kill the organism, and these proteins are called complement proteins. It was discovered by Jules Bordet, and he proposed that for the killing of an organism, two components are required. One is antigen specific antibody, and second one is some non-specific proteins which are present in the serum always, non-specifically. These two components together kill an organism. Now, complement system proteins are composed of many different soluble proteins, almost 35 different soluble proteins from the complement system, and they are produced mainly from the liver, and some of the proteins are produced in the macrophages, and also epithelial cells of GI tract also produce some of the proteins. Most of the complement proteins are present as inactive enzymes or proenzymes in our serum. Once the first component of complement protein, complement system encounters an antigen, it is activated, then it will activate rest of the molecules present downstream to it. Now there are three types of complement system: classical pathway, alternative pathway, and mannose binding lectin pathway. Now classical pathway is dependent on the presence of antibody. It starts either on the foreign surface when antibodies are bound to a foreign pathogen organism, or when antigen antibody complexes or immune complexes are present in the serum, then only classical pathway is activated. So it is a part of the adaptive immunity. Whereas alternative pathway and mannose binding lectin pathway, these two pathways are independent of the presence of antibody. So they are part of the innate immune response. So complement system is active in both innate as well as adaptive immune response. Now the initial steps of each pathway are different, but they converge to a common point where they generate an enzyme called C5 convertase. This C5 convertase protein or enzyme formed on a surface of a foreign organism or on immune complex converts C5 molecule or clips C5 molecule, a component of the complement protein, into C5a and 5b, two fragments. Now the 5b fragment, it readily binds to the surface of the foreign organism, and then C6 molecule comes and binds to C5b, because C5b is very labile. Unless C6 binds to it, it is released from the surface. Next comes C7. C7 will bind to C5b67, and the complex C5b67 changes its conformation. Now some hydrophobic regions are exposed, and these hydrophobic regions help the complex to get inserted into the lipid bilayer. If the complement activation is taking place on a surface on an organism, then the complex will be incorporated into the lipid bilayer. Now C8 molecule will come and bind to this complex and will form a pore of 10 angstrom, and this pore is sufficient to kill RBC, red blood cells, but it is insufficient to kill the nucleated cells, since nucleated cells are much bigger compared to the RBC. Now C9 molecules come and bind to the C5b678 complex. Now all the molecules are hydrophilic, but as the C9, C8 they bind to the complex, they change their conformation, and in all the molecules hydrophobic regions are exposed and they help the molecules to get inserted into the lipid bilayer. Almost 10 to 17 molecules of C9 bind to one C5b678 complex and form a larger pore. Okay, pore diameter may be 70 to 100 angstrom, and this pore is sufficient to kill a cell. How it kills? Through the pore, what will happen? Water will enter and all the small ions, small molecules, electrolytes, they will come out. So the cell will be unable to keep its osmotic balance, okay, osmotic stability. So the cell will be lysed, and this pore is called membrane attack complex or MAC. So complement systems form MAC or pore on the foreign surface and thus lyse the foreign organism or microorganism. And apart from forming pores or MAC, there are several other functions present for complement system, like when the complement system is activated, many of the molecules are cleaved into two fragments, a larger fragment, a smaller fragment. The smaller fragments are designated by A, like C3A, C4A, C5A, like this. And all these smaller fragments, they are called anaphylotoxins because they induce inflammation. Now what is inflammation? These small molecules bind to their receptors present on the cell surface of mast cells and basophils, and as soon as they bind to the receptor, mast cell and basophil release the granules present in their cytoplasm, and these granules are full of histamines and other vasoactive molecules. As soon as they are released, they induce inflammation. They also induce smooth muscle contraction and vascular permeability. Okay, so plasma seepage will occur, edema will be there, inflammation will take place. And these small molecules like C3A, 5A, 6, 5B, 6, 7, they act as chemotactic factors. And in the presence of these molecules, monocytes, neutrophils, they come out of blood vessel and they reach to the site of the inflammation where these molecules have been generated. Hence, these molecules induce inflammation. Now, some of the complement factors also act as opsonins.
Ma'am, what are opsonins?
Opsonins are molecules that help in phagocytosis. Okay, opsonins can bind to the foreign surface. Suppose our foreign molecule is a bacterium. An opsonin molecule can bind to the surface of that bacterium. At the same time, it can bind to its specific receptor present on a phagocytic cell. So, a bacterium covered with complement factor proteins or complement factor proteins are readily phagocytosed by the phagocytic cells. So, complement factor proteins help in opsonization. Also, these complement factor proteins help in the clearance of immune complexes. For small soluble antigens, if specific antibodies are present, immune complexes are formed. Now, they are not removed from the system by their own. What happens? These complement factor proteins bind to the Fc region of the immunoglobulins. Now, phagocytic cells have receptors for those complement factor proteins. Now, very easily immune complexes will be phagocytosed and removed from the system. Another factor of humoral response is antimicrobial peptides. They are part of the innate immune response and they are found in all forms of life. And these antimicrobial peptides can kill all different gram-positive and gram-negative microorganisms, enveloped viruses, fungi, and even tumor cells or transformed cells. And they are small peptides, roughly 25 to 40 amino acid long, and composed of many hydrophobic residues. And these hydrophobic residues help the antimicrobial peptides to insert into the foreign surface, the surface of the organism, into the lipid bilayer. One common antimicrobial peptide found in mammals is defensin. It is secreted from the activated macrophages, and these defensins, they form small pores on the surface of the organism, and thus they kill the cell. The cells are lysed in due to the formation of the pores. Also, antimicrobial peptides act as chemotactic factors for many different cells of the cells responsible for mediating cell-mediated immunity.